Cowboys Crosstalk. Check this out. Live from the Cowboys Club at the Star in Frisco. Brought to you by A#1 Air, the official HVAC and electric partner of the Dallas Cowboys. Blockchain.com. Make your crypto play today. The National Medal of Honor Museum. Join the mission at mohmuseum.org. Buffalo Wild Wings. And by SWBC Mortgage. Customized solutions to help you meet your personal and business goals. Visit SWBC.com. Now, your hosts, Nate Newton and Kevin Gray.
Welcome to week number 3 of the National Football League. It is Cowboys Crosstalk presented by SWBC. Kevin Gray of 105 through the fan, joined as always by 6-time Pro Bowler, 3-time Super Bowl champion, member of the Black College Football Hall of Fame, my main man, Nate Newton. What's up, man?
What's up? I'm ready to rock. I'm ready to roll.
Ready
Let's
for
go.
week number 3 as the Cowboys take a trip to Arizona in the desert to take on the Arizona Cardinals. Joining us this week from DallasCowboys.com, the pride of the North Texas Mean Green, Nick Harris joining us from DallasCowboys.com this week. Nick, what's going on?
Man, not much. It's good to be here.
Appreciate you joining us this week, man. Looking forward to the fun conversation over the next hour with our Cowboys legend this week, the pride of Monroe, Louisiana, by way of LSU, 10-year NFL veteran, 9 years, of course, with the Dallas Cowboys, 157 games, 834 career tackles.
Wow.
Brady James joining us on the program this week, man.
Brady,
What's going on,
up,
Brady? How you
baby?
doing, man?
Doing great. I guess I'm here because of this dominant defense that we've been witnessing.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
Yes,
it's
sir.
real talk
Okay,
defense.
Yes, sir.
We got to talk to a guy that knows a little something about that defense. We'll get into plenty of that over the next hour, of course. Cowboys Crosstalk presented by SWBC. Let's start with that defense because, Nick, we were talking about this before the show. This is a historic defense for the first 2 games, only allowing an average of 5 points per game the first 2 games. A beatdown of the Giants in Gotham City. Then they give the favor to the Jets at AT&T Stadium. What stood out to you most about what happened on Sunday when the Cowboys defeated the Jets 30-10?
Yeah, for me, it was just the pressure applied on Zach Wilson. Even when they weren't getting to him on sacks, it was the pressures that was forcing things downfield. You know, that's what eventually led the dam to break in the fourth quarter and 3 interceptions. You go back and look at all 3 of those interceptions, it was forced by pressure in the backfield. So it's the defensive line. It starts up front, but, man, that secondary has been really good in their own right as well. Even when the pocket has been clean and Zach Wilson was able to find some things downfield, secondary very rarely gave some things up. So, you know, it's an all-around effort, but I think it starts up front.
I know, Nate, that your expertise is on offense, but this defense, led by Micah Parsons, was absolutely spectacular and proved it again in the next game against the Jets. What has stood out for you in that win for the Cowboys over the Jets on
Once
Sunday?
again, for the second week in a row, the offense got out of the way. They ran the ball 44 times. That's what's standing out to me. Is Coach McCarthy and Dak Prescott are willing to get out of the way, play and cater to your defense. 42 minutes and 15 seconds of offense, only 17 minutes of defense, Brady. God, what could you do with 17 minutes?
Not score 30 points.
Right, exactly. Definitely not do that. When you watch this defense, Brady, what you've seen from the first couple games for this team, what stands out for you when you see Micah Parsons, you see this dominant defensive line, Nick talking about the secondary with the 3 interceptions that they had. What do you love most about this defense the first 2 weeks?
Well, they look very fresh. They look tenacious. Coming out of training camp, you know, it's always hit or miss because you're always dealing with injuries. So just to see these guys being able to just get after each other, and they're polishing, they're really feeding off of one another too. So it's just a perfect storm right now on the defensive side of the ball.
Dan Quinn in his 3rd season as defensive coordinator, Nick, seems like there's a lot of continuity with this team. Obviously, along the defensive line, linebackers Leighton Vander Esch, the secondary was tremendous. For Dan Quinn, what and then the big showdown in Week 5, what do you want to see continue from this defense?
Yeah, it's hard to find anything wrong that they've done through the first 2 weeks. I feel like it would be nitpicking at that point. So I would say the only thing is consistency, especially when these big-time opponents start to rear around the corner. You got San Francisco in a couple weeks. You'll have Philly a couple weeks after the bye week. So, you know, whenever these multiple offenses that have multiple playmakers and speed options, you know, that's going to be the really big test for this defense. I want to see them have the same level of success that they've had in these first 2 weeks. I want them to carry that against some of the NFC's best.
And Nate, offensively, Mike McCarthy as a play caller, the first 2 weeks, really good in terms of situational football, understanding what the game is bringing to him and how he's calling the games. What has stood out to you in terms of Mike McCarthy and his ability to call these games the way they've seen so far?
Just the way he's used the running backs, with Turpin, and we thinking he's a wide receiver, but now he's number 2 or 3 running back. So
saw a little Deuce Vaughn action this past weekend as well.
He's using Donald, and then with him not hesitating with using Tolbert. Jalen Tolbert, just throwing him in there, just throwing him in the fire. You did it in the preseason. We're going to expect you to step up. And I'm hoping that Michael Gallup can get going.
Yeah, that would be awesome. I mean, if we're talking about the offense, people are talking about like Dak and, he needs to do more. Well, here's the situation where when you're in the situation when he don't have to do more, then we're still nitpicking at Dak on the offensive side of the ball. Like, listen, if we are to say that this is a great defense, like, let it be. Let the defense run its course as far as they can and allow Dak to not do everything that he was doing last year. Right. You saw what that got us. That got us a lot of interceptions, a lot of broken TVs, a lot of just all kind of things, man. I mean, just watching the game now and I'm becoming a fan, it's a whole different ball game. So I just think it's a good mix. You can see the experience from Mike McCarthy, and you don't have all these different messages getting passed off when you have everybody on the same page, and that's what you get. You get a dominant win, and that's you can't ask for anything else.
You talk about Dak, the efficiency through the first 2 weeks has been what's really stood out to me. This offense was predicated around the short game, though, and getting the ball out quick, and a lot of things go into that, but we've seen so much of that here in the first couple of weeks. A play that really stood out to me was when they were backed up near their own end zone, 1st and 12. They even had a false start penalty that moved them back even further from their own 3-yard line. And from snap to when it got into CeeDee Lamb's hands on a slant, it was probably less than 2.5 seconds. Ended up in a 39-yard gain. That was the same play where Biotish went down and grabbed the recovered fumble. There were so many things to like about that play, but I think that's the epitome of what this offense is, and it's the epitome of what makes Dak efficient this year.
And I think we as fans and media, I'm part of that media now, we need to stop downgrading everybody because they lose to the Cowboys. All week long we talked about how nice the Jets defense was, and they are a great defense. But 42 minutes, how can you expect to hold up 42 minutes?
Yeah.
And so when we get 5 field goals, everybody like, wow, we should, our red zone. No. Yeah, Quentin Williams is still Quentin Williams. You know what I'm saying? Quentin
still
Williams
got some dogs over there. Yeah.
Well, that's what I was talking about as far as what these guys are looking like. They're fresh. Like, the unsung heroes that we're not talking about. We do talk about the players, but it's the training staff. It's the strength and conditioning coaches. Harold Smith, his group is doing great. Jim, Mauer, and Britt, all those guys. I mean, these guys, look, one of the best abilities in the NFL is availability.
Yes.
And these boys are just getting after it. Like, when you can see that and you can see waves and waves of people. Right. I mean, that's a guy, I can't even pronounce his last name. And that's you know what? That's a great thing, because if he keeps showing up, we'll start pronouncing his last name. I mean, it's just guys coming in and out and on both sides of the ball. It almost, when you see dominance, it almost looks a little boring, because you're not used to it. You're used to things being so fair, tug of war. Well, let's appreciate what we're seeing in the last 2 weeks, because we're getting ready to get into another group in our schedule, and so you definitely have to just enjoy what we've seen and appreciate it.
Speaking of that health, as the Cowboys prepare for the Cardinals this week, Tyler Smith dealing with the hamstring, Brandon Cooks with a knee injury, Donovan Wilson with a calf injury, all practicing today. So good news on that front from an injury standpoint. It looks like those 3 gentlemen are on their way back. Brandon Cooks missing this past week with that MCL sprain, but it looks like, Nick, those guys are on their way back just in time to get ready to play Arizona this weekend.
Yeah, knock on wood, if everybody up front on the offensive line is healthy going into Arizona, it will be the first time that all 5 have started a game together and played in a game together. So would love to see that out in Phoenix this weekend. But, I mean, you look on the defensive side of the ball, we talked about already just how dominant they've looked. Go ahead and add Donovan Wilson into that equation. Go ahead and add Jordan Lewis completely into that equation. He only had 10 snaps against the Jets, so really getting him back involved too. Once those guys are both back entrenched in this defense, let's give it 5-6 weeks, man, the sky sky's the limit.
Donovan Wilson, one of my favorite players, a heat-seeking missile is Donovan Wilson. The attitude and the fire. If you saw the sounds from the sideline this week, you could see him backing up his guy, Jaron Kearse, as they're getting guys. It was just great to see him in the middle of that huddle. Nate, we're talking about this offensive line. As Nick mentioned, if Tyler Smith is able to go on Sunday, the first time we've seen the starting 5 configuration we thought we were going to see coming into this year, how big is that for Mike McCarthy, Mike Solara, the offensive line coach, to be able to get that group together and start developing some continuity, knowing how good this offense could be with those 5 there?
You said it, Kevin, that continuity, because once they start doing what they have to do, now we can run with even more efficiency. Now both the inside game and the outside game become dominant. You notice the first week how they was pulling guys. We can get a little bit more of that going. By the way, before we get too far, how is Zach Martin? Nick, what have you heard on him?
Yeah, so Zach Martin did not practice today, was with the rehab group, still battling an ankle injury, but asked him after the game on Sunday, and I don't expect him to miss a game. He's a guy that rolled ankle. It's not going to stop. It's not going to stop him.
Yeah, that's light work.
Yeah, you dealt with a couple of those, huh?
Yeah. And I think he said if the game had been, closer, more of an important game, like he would have been able to, he would have been okay. Yeah. Like nothing else would have been okay, been fine for him. So good to know that Zach Martin looks like he's going to be hopefully available to go as well. Jaron Kearse did miss practice today, dealing with a little bit of illness as well. But hopefully by the time we get to Sunday, he'll be back on the defensive side as well. Brady, I want to ask you this because when you look at how confident this defense is playing, what does that do for each individual unit? You being a linebacker, watching these DBs get after and intercept the football, watching the defensive line set things up for you, what does that do for a confidence for a player when you're playing as well as this defense is?
It's all about who can make the next play. Like when everybody's holding their own, you're accountable to each other, and you're making plays, it's all about who can make the next big play. And so what I see from the defense is just these guys are feeding off of one another. One of the things we talk about Micah Parsons, great. But there's another guy that's on the other side, D-Law.
Yeah.
This guy, what he's taught Micah, and he may not get the credit for it, is how to be a technician. Like, people think that Micah Parsons is just running around people. No, this is in the NFL, when the offensive line, when they come out, it's not like when you're playing in middle school or ninth grade when they come out with their elbows up. Like, an offensive lineman is taught to punch soon as the snap comes. So what he's doing is he's knocking these guys' hands down. His hand-eye coordination and D-Law's hand-eye coordination are on a whole nother level. I mean, receivers, that's what you see from receivers when it calls hand-eye coordination. So it's a lot of technical things, a lot of good things that are happening right now on that on the team.
And to add on what Brady just said was the first year he was just running around guys. Last year he started playing the hands game. The D-Law taught him the hand game. This year he got a little crossover. He's banging him and getting right. So I'm with you there, Brady. You can see this kid growing, and he's learning that you don't have to give up on any play. But he's learning that, you know what, I may run a 4-3, but I don't think I can catch that dude that's 85 yards. You know what I'm saying?
You got some help.
Think I can.
You got some help back out there. And guys are stepping up to the plate because they know, look, we're all human. And so it can't just be the Micah Parsons show. And that's the great thing about being in the NFL. If you have a guy that's really dominant, then you'll have at least 5 more other guys that are trying to get in that conversation. And if you have 5 or 6 more other guys that get in that conversation, then you have some staying power. And that's really what this is about. It's not about just winning 2 games. 2 games, you can't win a Super Bowl off of 2 games.
That's
Trust me. Trust me.
Trust me. Look, we're not going to go to 07. We're not going to talk about 07.
So that's about
right
what
now.
it is.
Let's take our first break on Cowboys Crosstalk, presented by SWBC. Kevin Gray of 105 through the fan. 6-time Pro Bowl, 3-time Super Bowl champion Nate Newton, Nick Harris of DallasCowboys.com. Our Cowboys legend Bradie James joining us live at the Cowboys Club at the Star in Frisco. Don't forget SWBC Customized Solutions for individuals and businesses are just a click away. Visit SWBC.com to learn more and start your next adventure. Coming up next, we're going to talk a little more about the Lion, Micah Parsons, and what he's putting together for this historic defense. We do that all next on Cowboys Crosstalk on the Dallas Cowboys Radio Network.
Go Cowboys! Back to Dallas Cowboys Crosstalk.
Yeah, check this out.
Live from the Cowboys Club at the Star in Frisco.
Back on Cowboys Crosstalk, presented by SWBC across the Dallas Cowboys Radio Network. Kevin Gray of 105 through the Fan, three-time Super Bowl champion Nate Newton, Nick Harris of DallasCowboys.com, and our Cowboys legend this week, Bradie James, joining us live at the Cowboys Club. Appreciate him hanging out with us as we get you ready for Week 3 of the National Football League as the Cowboys visit the Arizona Cardinals, a team that's dealing with some quarterback issues. Josh Dobbs right now, the starter, as Kyler Murray is still out, of course, with that torn ACL. We'll get to that matchup here in just a moment. But before we do, Nate, I want to start with you because you played, obviously, with some tremendous Hall of Fame players throughout your career. When you've watched Micah Parsons over the first 2 weeks and what he's done, wrecking game after game and watching the effect that he's having, not just on this defense, but the opponents that he's getting after, what are you seeing that makes him so special as a player and how he's continued to grow in that way?
He just competes. He competes now with knowledge. We talked about that earlier, Brady. He competes now with knowledge. Now, before he just ain't running off the edge or he just ain't running inside. I mean, when he running his games, he precise for running his games and his twists and stunts. I mean, he's Brady. You can talk about that, man.
Yeah, I think one of the ideas was when he was a younger player, run at him, like go directly to him.
Mm-hmm.
So when you seeing him making this many plays, it's because he's understood his craft and how to play the run versus pass and then turning it on and converting. So that's what he's doing that is really incredible. If you just watch him, like they would move him around, and sometimes he would get lost. It's just what it is. He would get lost,
Right.
But we're so used to him making the play. When he wasn't making the play, he'd just be in the shuffle. Where a guy like that shouldn't ever be all in the minutia.
Mm-hmm.
He should always be out and about or making a play. And so now you see that opportunity because now teams that are directly attacking him, that you can't run by him or you can't run away from him. He just track you down.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're running to him, now he has the absolute infrastructure to just take on everybody and make the play. It's just fascinating to watch.
And you saw it during the game where he tackled the guy, took the ball. And then after the game, he's talking about how that was set up, how they was thinking a crack block was coming, how he needed to get this kid is learning the game. And as he learned the game, it'll get easier and easier. But you know what? And I'm going to ask this question to both of you. I played against great guys like that. But what are you thinking as a defensive player, and what are you writing when you see that?
I'll be honest with you. Sometimes you see defensive coordinators that come in and try to use the most athletic guy and just put him anywhere.
Right.
And
right.
he can just make the play. Well, in the NFL, everybody has some sort of athleticism. Right. What he's done is by Dan Quinn allowing him to play middle linebacker his second or first year, he's starting to understand everything around him.
Yeah.
Not just the front set, not just the lineman position, but absolutely the back end.
Mm-hmm.
And that's allowing him to just be free. You can just see it. When you are watching a person blossom. And I'm not saying that we the competition that we've gone against, it's been okay.
Sure.
You know what I mean? It's the NFL, but it's been okay. And that's the thing about Zach Wilson that I did not understand. In this past game, he was acting like he had a red jersey on, he was at practice. I mean, if the big bad wolf is after you, dog, you gotta let it go.
Yeah,
let the ball go.
Yeah.
I mean, you're not supposed to just get sacked that many times that way. But what we're going back to Parsons. What he's doing is he's allowing himself to blossom and grow, and the other guys around here are starting to learn how to play off of him. It's just certain guys like Ed Reed in the league was just a guy that he would free up everybody and he'd just make plays.
Yeah.
Troy Polamalu would just free up. I mean, there was no plays called for him to just go and jump over the line. It's just no way.
It's all instincts.
It's just instincts.
Yeah.
But he's combining these instincts with the technical piece of it and now knowledge. That is what makes him, in my opinion, the most dangerous player in the NFL.
It's part of what makes this defense great is the fact that all 10 guys on the defense know that Micah Parsons is going to do his job every single play. That allows them to focus on doing their job every play. But what really stands out to me about Micah Parsons is he has that rare combination of speed and power, and especially with his physical skill set. You know, you look at him, you look at what he is on paper, height and weight. You know, you take that power and you underestimate it. And you line him up against a tackle, you line him up against a guard. They're starting to line him up at zero tech and putting him against centers more and more. If you're stronger than him, he's going to out-athlete you.
Yeah.
If you're more athletic than him, he's going to outpower you. And it's tough to find an offensive lineman that has that combination and that will be able to limit him on a week-to-week basis like that, or on a snap-to-snap basis like that going into the season. So, man, if I had to think of offensive linemen off the top of my head that had that rare combination and that would be a good matchup for him, I'd be lucky to get on two hands.
Yeah, no, for sure.
I'd be lucky to get on two hands.
Well, Nick, I like – that goes to show you, like, the staff, the defensive staff.
For sure.
Like Dan Quinn has definitely ascended to a whole nother level because he has the players to do it. Like, if you are a defensive coordinator, you look at this roster, the way that Will McClay and the brass built this whole situation. The defense has players in every spot.
Every level.
Every level. Like, before, it would be somewhat of a drop-off, especially on the back end. Not saying that the back end, it's just highlighted on the back end because it's so open. Now you got a guy across from, another generational player in Diggs, a guy that's a technician that can just hold people accountable. Everybody, he's been there, so it just allows the continuity, the locker room feel. It's just exploding on the field.
And the thing that I have to praise Dan Quinn about in that sense is the fact that he's unlocking the versatility on all 11 players on the field. All 11 players on the field are figuring out what they can add to their game, even if they're going into year 8, 9, 10. Let's look at Leighton Vander Esch. I mean, that's a guy, if you had asked me in April, you didn't know anything about Leighton Vander Esch, and I was sitting here talking to you. He's like, yeah, traditional Mike guy. He'll come downhill. He'll make that play in the backfield, but, he's going to be your leader. He's going to be that guy in the middle that's going to hold things down on the second level. He's got him coming off the edge. He's got him lining up at zero tech at times as well. And seeing Leighton Vander Esch come off the edge and have success in pass rush, that's something I never would have expected coming into the season. So, I have to give credit to Dan Quinn in those situations. And then, how he's used guys like Jaron Kearse or Donovan Wilson and being able to bring them up into the second level. Marquise Bell, it's a great example this year, too.
Yeah.
That's a guy that didn't have much experience at all in the second level. And all of a sudden, he's working with the linebackers every day at practice. So that's really what this defense is. But it starts with Micah Parsons and what he's able to do, not only on the defensive line off the edge, coming in the middle, and then in the second level as well.
It just seems like this entire group, that entire defensive unit, have all bought in completely into what Dan Quinn is selling. And you talked about putting these guys in positions to succeed. If I'm a player, that gives me confidence to know that I can not only go do what I do, but now he feels like I can do other things that will help make this defense that much better. And I think that speaks to the confidence and continuity that this team has put together on both sides of the ball. As we start to look and turn our attention toward this game this coming week, an Arizona Cardinal team that allowed a big comeback from the Giants, who, of course, the Cowboys dominated in week 1. Nate, I'm going to start with you. When it comes to the Cardinals offensively, what do they present in terms of some challenges that this defense is going to have to pay attention to as they get ready for Sunday's game?
They got a young receiver, Mike Wilson. Is I got that right?
Yeah.
He runs some nice routes. Now, can they get him the ball consistently? I don't know. This Marquise Brown that came from Baltimore.
Yeah, Hollywood Brown, yeah.
We saw him just run deep routes. Now he's kind of he knows the route tree a little bit better, so he's catching the ball. But they're missing that dude. Now, James Connors can come out the backfield. He's physical. He's hyped. But when the game get on the line, like it has for the last 2 weeks, these guys slowly disappear. So they don't have that dude that can take them over the top. Nick, is you seeing something different?
No, not at all. I mean, they don't have the Kyler Murray or the DeAndre Hopkins on offense anymore that can do those kinds of things. I guess the one thing that I think this Arizona offense can really challenge Dallas this week that they have not seen yet is the speed in the receiving core. You mentioned Hollywood Brown. You also got Greg Dortch in that conversation, and then Rondale Moore out of Purdue. I think he's a third-year guy out of Purdue. I mean, all three of those guys have crazy speed, and they have a developed route tree, all three of them. The only battle that you would have as an Arizona play caller is who do you put on the outside and who do you let work in the slot. So I think that's the challenge that will be presented. But, man, there's a lot of speed all across this receiving core.
Zach Ertz? Is that right?
Zach Ertz.
Big tight end out of Philly. I mean, Brady, did you get some of him while you was playing, or you was gone by the time he got there?
No, a few times. I got him.
He's like, don't worry about it. I got him a couple times. That's for sure.
He said, I remember.
But we're talking about all his speed. Let me tell you something. we may not get a chance to see the speed.
Yeah,
I mean, because if that offensive line, like we've seen some average offensive lines the last 2 weeks, and I think this next week will be another average offensive line. So
dare I say bad? Dare I say?
Yeah. So I'm not saying like you can't roll your helmet out and just expect a win in the NFL. What I'm saying is, get ready to almost witness a duplicate of at least one of the first 2 games, especially with the line.
If that's the case, if we see anything similar to what we've seen in the first 2 games, the defense is only giving up on average 5 points per game. Josh Dobbs is going to be in for a long day on Sunday if that is the case, the way that this defense has been playing. It's been fun to watch just the entire defense get after opponents the way that they have. It looks like the Cardinal offensive line may be in trouble going into Sunday. It is Cowboys Crosstalk presented by SWBC. SWBC Mortgage joined the more than 120,000 customers that we've helped to find their happier way home. Visit SWBCmortgage.com to find a pro today. Kevin Gray of 105 through the fan, 3-time Super Bowl champion Nate Newton, Nick Harris of DallasCowboys.com. Our Cowboys legend Bradie James joining us live at the Cowboys Club at the Star in Frisco. When we come back, let's get into this game in terms of some X factors and how the Cowboys perform against the Arizona Cardinals. We do all that next on the Dallas Cowboys Radio Network.
Go Cowboys! Back to Dallas Cowboys Crosstalk.
Check this out.
Live from the Cowboys Club at the Star in Frisco.
Back on Cowboys Crosstalk presented by SWBC across the Dallas Cowboys Radio Network. Kevin Gray of 105 through the fan. Joined as always by my partner Nate Newton, 3-time Super Bowl champion Nick Harris of DallasCowboys.com. Our Cowboys legend Bradie James joining us live at the Cowboys Club. Appreciate him hanging out with us as we get you ready for Week 3 when the Cowboys visit the Arizona Cardinals to get down in the desert. This WBC PEO helping to alleviate the HR administrative burden that comes with running a business. Leave the worrying to us. Visit swbcpeo.com to find out more. Gentlemen, let's get into some X factors going into this game on Sunday. Obviously, the Cowboys having outscored their opponents 70-10 in their first couple of games. Offensively, extremely efficient. Dak Prescott, 31 of 38 for 255 last week. Really playing some good offense for this Cowboys team. Nick, I'm going to start with you. When you look at X factors going into this game, what are you looking at as far as the Cowboys offensively that you want to see continue through the first couple of weeks of the year?
What I want to see continue, I would say the quick game as well, like as I spoke to earlier. Getting the ball out quick for Dak has obviously been fantastic for him, 31 for 39 against the Jets. As far as things I want to see that I haven't seen yet is Michael Gallup. This is a young, inexperienced secondary. I want to see Gallup get involved, whether that be in the short game, downfield. Unfortunately, I think this offense is kind of drifting away from what he does best, and I feel like there's a bridge that can be made there. You look at Gallup and you look at the success that he's had in his NFL career. It's stuff that's happened downfield. He's got a crazy comeback route that they don't really integrate into this offense because everything's kind of quick. It's over the middle. It's getting guys spread out. And so I want to see Gallup get active in those situations. Run that slant, run that post.
Yeah.
Let me see you in that hitch route. Take a ball and then get some yak afterwards as well. This is a great opportunity for Michael Gallup to get comfortable again.
And I don't want to downplay a team because I remember when I first got in the league, everybody downplayed us. We had a bad team and they downplayed us. A Schoonmaker. It's time for those
Shout
guys.
out to him for his touchdown this past weekend.
It's time for Mozzie. It's time, for the young guys, to get in this fire, man, and get going. Just let the light come on for these guys, man. I like what Tolbert is doing. I like, how they putting him in the game. If we get some of these young guys a little bit more work, in this game, I'll feel good. But if not, just let it come roll like it's been rolling.
Nick, I think you made a valid point, a huge point. And that's Michael Gallup getting going down the field. Here's the thing. I think we're not really giving Mike McCarthy his just due because what he's doing is he's adjusting to the defensive game plan. So when Gallup gets in, there's a few things that he does. And as a defensive player or a defensive coach, you're supposed to eliminate that. If you eliminate that, you want someone to dink and dunk you all the way down the field because at some point, if they're throwing the ball that many times, it's just a matter of time before you get a tip, some kind of intercept. Something will happen. So with Michael Gallup, he's a big play guy. I think for me, the X factor on the offensive side of the ball would be Brandon Cooks because of the way that he's come in and the way that he's fit into the offense. Now, we hadn't seen him in a game, but having a chance to see him in practice or whatever that may be, this guy was electric. He was really opening up the whole field for everyone. He is, in my opinion, one of Dak's safeguards. If he can get out there because he's going to get open. And if I'm a quarterback and I know I have a guy that can get open no matter what, guess what? I can take a chance from time to time. It won't be just a dink and dunk. Maybe that opens up Michael Gallup down the field for a post or a comeback. So that's the guy on the offensive side of the ball I think that would be an X factor.
And I think with Brandon Cooks, him and CeeDee Lamb are the only players on this team that can get 100 yards on any given night. And I want to see that from him. In the first game, we saw a couple of really big third down conversions out of Brandon Cooks. And, obviously the weather and just how the game played out played a huge role into what his offensive role was in week one. And then week two, obviously not playing. But, I want to see that potential opened up. I want to see fully what Brandon Cooks looks like in this offense.
Yeah.
Let's turn our attention then to the defense. And, Brady, I'll start with you. As we mentioned, all the numbers and everything historically that this defense has done through the first two games, what do you want to see continue based on the way that they're getting after the quarterback, rushing the quarterback, but also the run defense, which has been really good these first couple of games as well? What do you want to see from this defense?
I'd like to see some of the young guys kind of really show up. Not saying that they hadn't showed up because there's only so many plays that are going around to be made. A guy like Damone Clark, he's been really close to a lot of plays, like really close. But when you have those big bad wolves out there with 90 and Micah Parsons, you gotta be another step closer.
Sure.
And so him and then getting Jordan Lewis back. Jordan Lewis will definitely free up a lot of other people. It may be an exotic package that we hadn't seen because what Jordan Lewis brings to the table, playing the nickel is one of the hardest positions on the defensive side of the ball because you got two-way goals the entire time. If you're on the outside and you're on the sideline, you can just force a guy on the sideline. But when you're in the middle and somebody has a two-way goal, you have to be a technician. You have to be really locked in. So by allowing him to come in and he's shutting down the middle, I mean, you got, Gilbert, Trayvon Diggs. These guys will have, just a day of just amusement park. Like, they will have a great day because that rush is so tenacious that these guys are going to get to Josh Dobbs. Yeah. And Josh Dobbs really being the X factor on them because of his elusiveness, him being able to evade. So we got to have somebody that'll spy him. But outside of that, I mean, the guys on the back end should show up and really step up this game. We'll see them catching tip balls or, causing fumbles or something.
I need for Mozzie.
Oh, you want to see a little bit more Mozzie?
Yeah. I'm with that young guy thing, and I jumped the gun a little bit this last when we was talking about the offense, but I need for Mozzie to get better. I need for the light to come on. I need for him to be studying film of other great defensive tackles around the league because he has that potential. So we need for him to step up. And I'm with you on Jordan Lewis. Coach Harris loves him.
Yeah.
And so if he can get back in there and make it easier, along with Bland when they running 4 across and letting them guys handle the slot, that'll be nice.
So the thing about Mozzie, let's talk about this from an experience standpoint.
Yeah.
He's a young guy, right? And so he had a lot of he had a lot of he just had a lot of billing that he could do a lot of different things. Like him showing him hitting 225 in the NFL before coming out, I was like, yeah, that's cool. You know what I mean? It is. He's strong. Yeah. But guess what? You don't see the other grown man on the offensive side of the ball that's doing that in the league. Like he's already there doing it. So I think it's like for him, and then mental errors too, because as a D tackle, you can't afford to have mental errors. He's a young player, but you got these other like goons like Osa. These guys are playing at such a high level that even a first-round draft pick is not seeing the field.
Yeah,
it's speaking volume. Now he has to acclimate to the professional level, and he has to continue to do it. It's not that he's not doing it. It's just some other guys are playing a little bit faster right now.
And I love the fact that you brought up Osa Odigizua because one of my favorite things of the first couple of weeks has been watching Osa's growth, but also we talked about Micah Parsons a little bit earlier, what he's doing to free other guys up to be able to get after the quarterback, and Osa taking advantage of it. DeMarcus Lawrence doing the same thing as well. Osa's been special the first couple of weeks, and just love to see his maturity and growth so far throughout the course of this couple of seasons. Nick, I want to ask you this because one guy, if you had to nitpick a little bit from this past week, one guy that struggled just a little bit, who had an interception in week 1, Stephon Gilmore. You want to see a little bit of a bounce back for him based on what you saw against the Jets this past week?
Yeah, absolutely. I've actually talked about it on a couple of shows today. I would love to see Stephon Gilmore bounce back, especially against the speed that's going to be presented against him on Sunday. Whether he's lined up against Michael Wilson, who's going to be the more physical guy, he's got, more of the downfield presence. Whether it's him or if it's against one of these speed guys like Rondale Moore, Greg Dortch, we had mentioned Marquise Brown.
Mm-hmm.
If it's one of those guys, then that's a challenge. And I want to see that speed. I want to see him be able to account for that. Garrett Wilson got him a couple times, not just on the slant. I don't even really feel like the slant was 100% him even. I think there were plays where he had, a little bit more of a lapse than that slant. There was some times where Wilson really got away from him in coverage. So, I want to see Gilmore have a complete effort. I think that would be awesome. He came in with this, world-renowned resume. NFL Defensive Player of the Year. It's tough to get as a cornerback. So, I want to see a little bit of that on Sunday for sure.
I just think a lot of times with corners, and I could be guessing wrong, is they get bored. And they're gonna, I'm saying they're going to take a chance.
They have to.
When nobody else would take a chance, corners would take a chance. Brady, you can speak on that a little bit more than me.
Well, what's happening to Stephon right now is the other guy is on his own, planet, and we're just – everybody, they won't try him. They will not try him. If they try him, their success rate is about, a 50-50. You can't really go that way. Yeah. So we're seeing Stephon – being highlighted because he's getting the most work right now. You know what I mean? Now, he definitely has to improve, but it's okay. the guy that he was going against last week was like the rookie of the year last year. You
Right.
know, I mean, it wasn't a simp
sure.
that it was
Right.
like this guy was
Gary
the real
Wilson's a
deal.
baller. Yeah,
What
he's
a
a baller.
simp, Lord.
Yeah.
Don't do that, man.
So I understand, but him playing together and him really getting into this is his first year in his scheme also. To be fair to Stephon Gilmore, so yeah, it's some things that he will need to improve on. So as the professional that he is, he'll be ready. He'll be ready.
The number is 60, gentlemen. Dallas outscored his first opponents, the Jets and the Giants, 70-10. The Cowboys' 60-point differential is the second highest point differential through the first 2 games in franchise history, only trailing the 1968 team. That was a plus 67 that particular year. That just puts into context how dominant this defense and how dominant this team has been through the first couple weeks. Hopefully that continues when they take on the Arizona Cardinals on Sunday afternoon when the Cowboys look to make it 3-0 against the Arizona Cardinals. Let's take our next break right here on the Dallas Cowboys Radio Network on Cowboys Crosstalk presented by SWBC. Coming up next, we're going to catch up with our Cowboys legend, Bradie James, see what he's got going on these days. And, of course, we got to get into predictions. What do these 3 gentlemen think about how the Cowboys can get a win on Sunday against the Arizona Cardinals? We do that all next on the Dallas Cowboys Radio Network.
Cowboys Crosstalk.
Yeah, check this out.
Live from the Cowboys Club at the Star in Frisco.
Final time here on Cowboys Crosstalk presented by SWBC. Let's thank our final partner, Liberty Tax. Liberty Tax, a proud partner of the Dallas Cowboys. Schedule an appointment today at libertytax.com/Cowboys. Kevin Gray of 105 through the Fan. 3-time Super Bowl champion, 6-time Pro Bowler. My Hall of Fame partner, Nate Newton, joining us here. Nick Harris of DallasCowboys.com and our Cowboys legend, Bradie James hanging out with us here at the Cowboys Club at the Star in Frisco. Appreciate him joining us this week as we get you ready for the Cowboys visiting Josh Dobbs and the Arizona Cardinals this week in week number 3 of the National Football League. Before we get to our predictions for Sunday afternoon's game, let's catch up with our Cowboys legend, Bradie James, of course, proud LSU Tiger. I'm going to ask you about your Tigers real quick.
Okay.
Brian Kelly, and, of course, head coach there, handling business so far. How are you feeling about your Bayou Bengals so far this season?
Well, you know, we're in the SEC, so it's a what have you done for me lately business.
That's right.
It's like the NFL, baby. So we have Arkansas coming up this week, and it's always a tough game when we're playing for the boot. That's the name of the trophy that we play for when we play against Arkansas. So Razorbacks will be coming in, but they don't stand a chance in Death Valley. Let's go, baby.
I agree.
Let me ask you about that real quick. For those who have never had the chance to either go to Death Valley or obviously play there, what kind of atmosphere is that like on a Saturday night in Death Valley when you've got 80, 90,000 people just screaming at the top of their lungs for an LSU Tiger football game?
It was 80,000 in the 80s.
Yeah.
And it was kind of 90 in the 90s. We're at 105,000 right now. It's electric. It is a feeling that you cannot duplicate. No matter where you are, and I've gone back multiple times. I played in the NFL. I played in some huge games, some decent games. But when I go back as an alumni at Tiger Stadium at night in Death Valley, there's no other feeling that way. I mean, it's like you're in a live seismic earthquake. Like that's what's happening. That's what's happening when we're winning.
Yeah, along with a little voodoo.
That's right. I'm about to say, you got to be careful. You got to be careful traveling to Louisiana.
Well, you know, we Cajun. So, you know, we started around noon. I'm talking about with the alcoholic beverages. And by the time you get to 7 o'clock, we're ready to rock and roll.
That late, dude? That late?
Yeah, well, I'm being PC.
I feel you. Before we get to our predictions, let's talk about your foundation, Foundation 56, and what that is doing across what you're doing these days.
Yeah, so I have a breast cancer awareness foundation. I lost my mom to breast cancer when I was in college, and I just continue to offer free mammogram screenings. So I am supporting a health and wellness fair in October 21st in Forest Hill. It's actually at the Forest Hill Civic Center. There will be multiple screenings. We'll be doing cancer screenings, vision screenings, heart screenings. We'll have multiple healthcare systems. This will be my first time partnering with an existing foundation. It's called Barber Cares, and I'm looking forward to just having a great time. We'll be able to at least do 100 to 150 screenings in a day. Usually when you have a daytime event, you can only do about 32 screenings. So we're going to eclipse that, and so we have some great partnerships, so I'm looking forward to it. October 21st, Forest Hill Civic Center. We start at 10 o'clock, 10 to 1. Everything is free, and don't discount free. Don't discount free. We have real hospital systems that are there. So any woman that needs any kind of screening, any mammograms, any biopsy, any person that's looking to do any kind of health screening, just come out there and you'll be taken care of.
That's tremendous. Looking forward to that event and obviously continuing doing amazing work in the community. And you said that's on October 21st, you said?
October 21st.
Okay. Congratulations on that event and look forward to seeing your work continuing in the community there. Glad to be able to share that with the folks here on the Dallas Cowboys Radio Network. As we get into predictions for Sunday afternoon's game, the Dallas Cowboys take on the Arizona Cardinals. That game at 3:25 across the Dallas Cowboys Radio Network with the voice of America's team, Brad Sham, of course, Babe Laufenberg and Christy Scales. That game can be seen on Fox this week. Your old teammate, Daryl Johnston, going to be on the call with Fox this week. So looking forward to hearing from Moose this week. I know Nate, what he's going to say. He's going to tell me that the Cowboys are going to win. Tell me how, though, the Cowboys are going to win on Sunday against the Arizona Cardinals. I
think Dak will have his first 300-yard game. Don't worry about it. Yeah, he'll have his first 300-yard game.
Bold prediction, first 300-yard game of the season. Okay.
So, game over.
That's it.
Game over.
You got a score for me? You was like, 3-0, slobber
game
knocking.
over. I don't care if we win by one. Game over. Dak can beat the 300.
They got to score a minimum of 2. More than 2. All right, so Nate going to pick Cowboys to win. Brady, I'm going to get your pick here in just a minute. Tell me, DallasCowboys.com, Nick Harris, how did the Cowboys find a way to get this done in Arizona going up against the Cardinals this weekend.
Yeah, the more I look at this matchup, the more that I feel like it'll be a similar script. It'll be the defense getting active early and getting after Joshua Dobbs.
Did you see the NFL script already?
Oh, yeah, I did.
Already?
Yeah, actually.
Oh, okay,
you know,
okay.
You broke me there.
My bad,
but, I think the defense gets after him early, maybe gets a turnover early, and I agree with you. I think Dak has a really good day against an inexperienced secondary. I'm looking at about a 38-13 type win.
Oh, I like it. I like it.
Ooh, more than 3 touchdowns,
Yeah.
38-13. Okay.
Yeah, I'm close.
Brady, tell me how the Cowboys get a dominant win against a team that's apparently racing to the bottom as quickly as they can for the Caleb Williams sweepstakes. How did the Cowboys find a way to get it done in Arizona?
It's real simple. Ditto. Ditto from the first week, ditto from the second week. Wow. I see Dak coming out and having a monster game. I have 42-7.
42-7. So
Whoa.
we got a 38-13, 42-7. I feel like you got to give me a score now.
Yes, I do.
Well, what you got?
I'm going to go the other way. Let's just win the game, man. I mean, no, they done scared me, man. Because that mean they done at the cheese.
Hey, look, man.
Your
I'm with you. I'm with you.
Yeah,
I think what Nate is saying is we have to have some balance. Yes, we've had some really good dominant weeks. We are getting ready to play another NFL team, but it's not, I would say, top of the conference type teams.
Right.
We're getting ready to get into that part of our schedule, and when that part happens, then we can, get excited, and then you can curtail your excitement. Now, I'm not saying that we should have the skies falling because that, I've been a fan as long as I've played here, and I just think no matter what, we got to have balance as we go through this season.
I think the Cowboys find a way to get a dominant win. You talked about the inexperience in the secondary. This offensive line, not great. Jonathan Gannon, in his first year as head coach for this Arizona Cardinal team, trying to figure out a way to get that program together and moving forward, obviously without Kyler Murray as their starting quarterback. I think the Cowboys find a way to get it done. I'm gonna go 35-14, 35-14.
Oh, that's modest.
Yeah, look, you said temporary expectations. I'm like, I'm trying to keep it. Here's the thing. I'm a third-generation Cowboys fan, okay?
Right.
I'm a journalist. I'm a broadcaster. But more than anything, I'm a Cowboys fan. I've seen this before. I saw it in 07. I saw it in 14. I got excited in 16 when I thought, oh, man, this might be the time. And then last year, the last 2 years, 24 wins over the last couple years, like, oh, man, we got to see. This feels different because of the way that this defense has started off the first couple of weeks, and I think they continue that dominance against a team in Arizona, like I said, racing to the bottom as fast as they can, knowing exactly what's in front of them right now. I think the Cowboys find a way to get it done. I'm going to go 35-14, and as they get ready to come home to take on New England and the returning Ezekiel Elliott the following week. That's going to be an interesting conversation when we have that conversation next week with the return of Ezekiel Elliott to AT&T Stadium for the very first time in an opponent's uniform, but they got to handle business this week against the Arizona Cardinals. Cardinals-Cowboys again at 3:25 on Fox and, of course, on the Dallas Cowboys Radio Network. Hurricane 105 through the fan. Really appreciate our guest this week, Bradie James, for joining us live here at the Cowboys Club at the Star in Frisco. Appreciate all of your insights this week. Good luck to your LSU Tigers this year, and obviously looking forward to your tremendous event on October 21st. Hoping that all goes well for you there, and appreciate you joining us this week. Appreciate Nick Harris of DallasCowboys.com for joining us this week. Representing the Mean Green. Bunch of y'all Mean Green running around here these days, man, doing all kinds of good stuff, man.
Yeah, we are. What call? Yeah. Got Jazz in the back.
Yeah, Jazz in the back.
They're everywhere. They're everywhere.
Now, wait a minute.
Boo Jazz.
You can't boo Jazz now. She runs stuff. We got to have her keep it all together.
Got a nice little sandwich back that I'm going to share with her in a minute.
Relax, Nate. That's after the show now. That's after the show, man. Eat after the show. But appreciate you hanging out with us, man. Looking forward to you next. Nate, good to see you, man. Good to see you again this week. Looking forward to another, hopefully, dominant win for the Dallas Cowboys. And, of course, we'll get a chance to talk about it all next week on the Dallas Cowboys Radio Network. You going to be all right this week? You looking forward to this weekend?
I'm looking forward to it, man. 3-point victory.
You gonna stick to that?
Yeah.
Three-point victory? Here's what I love, man. Nate's like, look, man, I just want them to win by hook or by crook. As long as the Cowboys find a way to put that W, that's all that matters.
Counts the same.
That's true.
Counts the same.
That's all that counts the same. Whether they win it 42-7, 38-13, 35-14, or in
3-0.
Or in Nate's case, 3-0. It don't matter as long as they find a way to get a win. We appreciate all those who joined us live on the Dallas Cowboys Radio Network today. We'll be back next week, of course, live from the Cowboys Club at the Star in Frisco to recap what happened on Sunday between the Cowboys and the Cardinals and to get you ready for the Patriots visiting the Dallas Cowboys at AT&T Stadium. Looking forward to another tremendous week of football in Week 3 of the National Football League. For Kevin Gray at 105 to the Fan, Nate Newton, the Dallas Cowboys DallasCowboys.com. Nick Harris of DallasCowboys.com. And our guy, Brady James. Appreciate you joining us here on the Dallas Cowboys Radio Network. This is Cowboys Crosstalk, presented by SWBC. Y'all be good. We'll talk to you later.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this?